This is part 2 on why you're not getting the correct activation during your chest exercises. To understand how the chest works, let's use the dummy we have here. Of course, you can see the pecs, that's clear, but let's break it down a little further. The pec is broken up into two, the pectoral major and the pectoral minor. Mainly the sternocostal would be the pec major, and the clavicular pec would be the pec minor. So pretty much what that means is your upper pec is going to connect to the clavicle a little higher up, and the sternocostal, which is the pec major, is going to connect to the humeral attachment. Why is that important? Well, when we are using our chest, we want to go back a little further, or we want to go into the studies of why the pec tears happen. Most pec tears happen at the humeral attachment. What is that? Well, move our dummy to the side here. Of course, you've heard of the funny bone. This is the humerus. So, of course, the humeral attachment. As you can see here, the pec slopes upwards and is going to connect right here. We don't have a humerus on this dummy, but you can see kind of where the pec attach here would be the pit, if you're really kind of looking for it. So why is that important? Well, most of the pec tears are going to happen right there. That's important to know because most of the load when benching, we'll talk about that exercise, most of the load when benching is going to be stressed on the humeral attachment, since that's what tears, right? That makes the most sense. If the humeral attachment is what tears the most during the bench exercise, that means that's what's getting the most load. What's important to know is just because, as in this dummy, there is some pec definition, as you can see, doesn't mean that the humeral attachment is as strong or as large as the pecs you see here. And of course, when the humeral attachment is stretched, you're going to, of course, stretch your sternocostal, your pec major, and in certain movements like the incline, your clavicular pec, your pec minor is going to get more work. So let's move towards an example. This stick we're going to use as our humerus. Here, the lower band will mimic as the humeral attachment, which is the, if you remember, the sternocostal pec major connecting to the humerus bone. As you see here, we have our humerus. Make sure I keep it steady, because I'm going to keep it steady right here on my left arm, because that is your body. So your body is not going to move. The only thing that's going to move away is your arm. So you have your humerus bone here. We have it vertical, and you're not getting a lot of tension on this humeral attachment. The moment we start moving this way is when we start to add tension to the humeral attachment, right? That is where the load starts to happen, right? A closer look here, the humerus, which is this stick. We're going to keep this tight, and we're going to move it. As you can see, it's putting tension on this band. This is going to be the humeral attachment example. And so if we move it here, this is going to be the bench press, right? And as we're moving up, you can see the humeral attachment stretch, and as it comes down. What's really important, what we need to know, is the down portion. A lot of times, if you're going to use this humerus bone and you're going to push down, it's going to be kind of hard using this. When you push down, right, a lot of you barely get below to stretch that humeral attachment. To get right to the chase, it's important to know that if you're trying to increase the strength of your pec, it's not by the size of these, it's by the strength of that humeral attachment, because that is going to bear most of the load, and that is going to be responsible for the elasticity. A lot of times you'll see people who they'll get the pec tears, and they'll have pretty good definition. It's important to know that pec definition does not equal strong humeral attachment. The equation would be the load of the bar is greater than the tensile strength of the humeral attachment. So now that you understand how the chest muscle works, maybe you can incorporate that into your workout to get a better overall workout so you can get a stronger pec overall.